Hi, Vimeo. I guess this is a message to Jason R. Um, I'm noticing that you've censored an interview with Catherine Austin Fitts by John Rappaport. Apparently, they talked about mandated vaccines and the coronavirus. I was actually wanting to watch that video, and I have a pro account because I'm hosting my dad's lectures about his biblical research. And my dad was a biblical scholar, and I'm hosting his videos on Vimeo Pro. So I'm actually quite concerned because you have some vague community guidelines and perpetuating false or misleading claims about vaccine safety. I mean, I know several people who've either personally experienced vaccine injury. I know families that have unfortunately had their children pass away from vaccine injury. And I mean, I would really like a more complete list as to what kind of content you're allowing. And I mean, if you're going to be doing censorship, then I would say just go ahead and refund the like. I need to pull my videos, so I'm going to need to bring them down. And we're just going to I'm going to need to figure out a different hosting solution, because if you think you're the ministry of truth, then that's a really big problem. So Jason R. from Vimeo's Trust and Safety team, it'd be fantastic if you could reply in a way that generates trust, because if you're removing videos that are heartfelt discussions about the coronavirus and about vaccine mandates and people living their lives and wanting to create a safe environment for themselves, their children, their grandchildren, their great-grandchildren. You know, if you're here pushing an agenda that maybe you have a vested financial interest in, then go ahead and make that clear, because goodness gracious, it's just really disappointing if you're going down the path of censorship, because it's through a free expression of ideas and exchange of ideas and correcting what's false and being open to learning. That's how we figure out what's true. We don't figure out what's true by not being exposed to information that's either controversial or potentially false. We figure out what's true by learning discernment, and by being exposed to false information, by being able to understand what's true and what's not. Jason R., I'd like to find out, what criteria you use to figure out what's true, and what criteria you use to figure out what's false. For me, I use the scientific method and an acute awareness of logical fallacies, and a process of using sound logic. So it's a process that I personally can summarize as being a determined and regular and persistent letting go of belief. So anything that requires belief, I discard, right? So once something becomes knowledge, then I can internalize that and consider it true while continuing to be open to being corrected. That's kind of how I go about things. And maybe you have an even better process, and a process that I could use to improve my method of walking in truth walking in faith and in compassion and in care. But faith is, again, that would be then the wrong word in that moment. But walking in truth, walking in knowledge, right? Maybe you have a better way of doing that. Again, I use sound logic, so discarding all logical fallacies, and the scientific method. Those are two of my techniques. I use a few others, but that's pretty much it. And that's right. Okay, so that's how I can summarize it. And I mean, if you have a trust and safety team, maybe you have a process for how you are assessing what's true and what's not true. Maybe you just go by a list that somebody hands you. Then you have to believe the person who wrote that list, don't you? So it'd be great if you could offer some explanation, because this is maybe the third or fourth time I've heard about Vimeo blocking videos. And it's time for me to remove myself from your platform if you are kind of a holier than thou, a ministry of truth type of organization that suppresses free expression and prevents people from learning discernment and coming into truth on their own. So I'll look forward to hearing from the Vimeo team. Thank you for your time and attention.